And now to our top story. Despite losing half of their home to a morning fire, a Wilmington family is thankful. We want to cut to some breaking news right now. A helicopter has crashed into the ocean that's near Yopon Pier in Oak Island. Well, good evening and welcome to the battleship North Carolina. I'm Cacky Catlett. The scene was so dramatic down here, so many people. It's hard to really say exactly how many were here, so we took to the sky. WWAY's Cliff Pyron has a bird's eye view of today's service. One day after Wilmington Mayor Bill Saffo said the proposal for a ballpark is not a good one. Federal investigators say the major difference between human trafficking and drug trafficking is that it's not a consumable product. Well, the battleship is North Carolina's World War II memorial. It's fitting for a ship that did so much during battle. WWAY's Tim Buckley has the story. This is the shot that every player should be able to sink, the classic jumper. Looks like I could use some help from the shot doctor. This week's Teacher of the Week takes us to Acme Delco Elementary School with Mrs. Heather Garcia. She's a 4th grade teacher here, and you've got an excited classroom, to say the least.
Very excited.
You got to tell us what brings you to Wilmington.
Well, I love coming. I come in every year. When I was a little boy, I grew up in Delaware, so we'd always come out to North Carolina to go fishing, but now I have wonderful friends in the area. The Macs are here.
Love is in the air, and we got a history lesson there as well.
Seems even more romantic with the prison part in. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think so. Though Berger's actions as a county commissioner have gotten a lot of negative attention, there are still a few people who support him. A 28-year-old mother of 2 in Sunset Beach is dead as investigators try and figure out what happened. Neighbors and family members say the victim is Megan Tysinger. A new report shows household income is on the rise. We reported earlier about the buzz surrounding Iron Man 3 casting, but we're not the only North Carolina town getting the Hollywood treatment this weekend. I'm Cacky Catlett.
I'm Chris Phillips. We'll have more on that story in a moment, but first, a verdict has been reached in the trial of Michael Jackson's former doctor.
A jury has convicted Dr. Conrad Murray of involuntary manslaughter in the singer's 2009 death. The jury reached its verdict this afternoon after deliberating less than 9 hours. We'll have much more on this decision and reactions from both sides coming up on WWAY News Channel 3 at 5:30. And now to our top story. Despite losing half of their home to a morning fire, a Wilmington family is thankful. An 18-wheeler caused a hot mess on Martin Luther King Parkway near Carr Avenue this morning. Wilmington police say water somehow leaked into the tank transporting hot paving tar. Well, the two don't mix well together, and a safety valve caused a spillover on eastbound MLK. Crews arrived on the scene around 7 a.m., causing that parkway to narrow down to 1 lane. No one was hurt and no other vehicles were involved. Thank you, Asha. An issue throughout campaign season has been the theft of political signs. Wilmington City Council candidate Napier Fuller is taking that problem on just 1 day before the election. WWAY's Cliff Pyron has more. A Pew Research Center report says the wealth gap between young people and older people is now wider than ever before. The report says in 2009, households headed by people 65 years or older had a net worth 47 times greater than households headed by people 35 years old or younger. In 1984, older households only had a net worth 10 times higher. Experts say the gap is partially due to older Americans staying in their jobs longer and paying off their mortgages. Younger Americans are more in debt while facing high unemployment rates. Now, 2 other officials in the program are out of their jobs in the wake of those charges. As Scott Goldberg reports, there are even questions for the Penn State's legendary head coach. A former government worker dangled for hours today from a New York bridge. The man had been hanging from a harness attached to a rope ladder about halfway between the Hudson River and the bridge roadway. He had a sign and apparently was upset with Rockland County officials. State police lowered him to just above the water around 2 p.m. You can see that there. He then jumped or fell into the water and was immediately hauled on board a boat. The incident backed up traffic 4 miles. Hope he got his message out there.
Probably not the way to make that point.
No, I don't think so. Made the news, though.
Made that. Looks like some cold water. Still to come on Double. Look out, man. He's trying to bullfight the deer, I think.
You think he just forgot to tip a buck?
Oh, you were ready for that one, aren't you?
I've been working on that all day. Get that? I know. Cheesy, right?
Yes. Yeah, you got to really be careful with those.
But right on cue. I'll tell you that with the deer or the jokes.
They can put some, probably with both. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Tonight, a special report captured human trafficking in the port city. It's a crime with no boundaries.
Worldwide, it's a massive business.
Women and even young girls trapped in lives of misery. forced to have sex with perhaps dozens of men a day. This crime, known as human trafficking, is happening right here in the port city.
In our district, what we find more is a smaller local brothel type settings where the perpetrators are vetted by the persons running the brothel.
Federal investigators are working on several open cases of human trafficking.
The trends that we see in our area are that the victims tend to be female. They tend to be late teens, early 20s. They tend to be found in more rural areas than in the cities.
Many of the victims are immigrants promised a better life in the United States, but others are American girls. Regional Director of NC Stop Human Trafficking, Lindsay Robertson, says runaways are a prime target for traffickers.
What I'm seeing the most of here are girls who are in their teen years, 15, 16 years old, who are meeting a man older than them, generally in their early 20s, who are romancing them, becoming a significant other.
Neat Childs was 16 when a 36-year-old man befriended her. He eventually began pimping her out for sex in cities along the East Coast.
I felt betrayed. You know, I didn't think that could happen to me.
The buyers, not exactly who you may expect.
Doctors, businessmen, police officers, the people that we trust with our lives.
And on the supply side, it's all about the money. According to the United Nations, human trafficking is a $32 billion business worldwide. North Carolina ranks 7th in the country for the worst states for the crime. And here in Wilmington, investigators say Interstate 40 and the state port are hot spots for trafficking, where girls can be moved in and out of the city quickly. Federal investigators say the major difference between human trafficking and drug trafficking is that it's not a consumable product. A drug can be sold one time. A girl can be sold over and over again.
Its bottom line is about money, and that's why it's the fastest growing trade. Now it's surpassed, we think, gun trafficking, and it's right behind drug trafficking.
Organizers of the crime are using the internet to pinpoint their next victim and to solicit customers. New York-based Backpage.com has come under fire for advertising trafficking victims under its adult services section. The crime has many layers, making it even more difficult to identify and prosecute. District Attorney Ben David says society and local law enforcement have to change their mindset.
We need to change the term from she's a prostitute to she's being prostituted. In other words, from the noun to the verb.
Put that right hand in the cookie jar.
He has the cure for players struggling to get the perfect stroke. Ernie Hobby, dubbed the shot doctor by sports writers, has helped hundreds of athletes over the years.
I tell people if you can count to 3, you can shoot.
There is a science to what Hobby teaches players, but he tries to keep it simple.
Rhythm and stance. If you can get the same routine so you get muscle memory and repeat the same, you don't even need a ball. You can just practice, I am great, I am great.
Hobby has worked his hoops magic with some of the biggest names on the court, such as Grant Hill, Al Harrington, and Mark Price, the all-time record holder for foul shots, shooting 90% from the line.
I've seen some different shots, and my philosophy is if they're good shooters and they're successful, I'm not going to change it. I might emphasize some fundamentals.
Now this is the shot that every player should be able to sink, the classic jumper. Looks like I could use some help from the shot doctor.
Most important thing, as I said, is having the wrist cocked and make sure the ball is perfectly balanced in your right hand. Spread your fingers of your right hand. Is the ball balanced? Turn it over, cock your wrist. Use your legs and shoot the ball. Beautiful.
Just what the doctor ordered. It's those simple teachings of gaining fingertip control and backspin that have the young athletes calling on the 82-year-old Hobby these days. Spending 40 years working in education has given him a special gift of connecting with the kids.
Catch up, get out of the chair.
But what really pushed Hobby into volunteering his time for the youngest of athletes was undergoing quadruple heart bypass surgery 4 years ago.
I said if I recover, I'm going to spend every ounce of my energy working with kids. And that's what I've been doing.